We continue our knowledge sharing mission through a series of interviews with marketing leaders from all over the world and are thrilled to have Karen with us today.
Hi, thank you, Andrea. I'm Karen Strugnell. I'm the Senior Marketing Director at UiPath for France and Southwest Europe.
Karen, thank you very much for joining CMO Chats. Why don't you start off with telling us a bit more about yourself and your role at UiPath?
Sure. So I've been in B2B tech marketing for coming on to 30 years almost across various roles in account-based marketing, industry marketing, field marketing. And today at UiPath, I am marketing director across France and Southwest Europe, and really own, marketing, field marketing in those regions, working very closely with sales, very much about creating relevant customer experiences and essentially pipeline.
And could you tell us a bit more about what your main marketing focus is at the moment?
Right. Well, I think I hinted on that already. So I really would say about, sort of pipeline and revenue ownership for marketing. I think, marketing is obviously accountable for creating pipeline, but also influencing pipeline. That's increasingly the case. That's certainly something that we are on point for. Influence, acceleration. And I think it's really about making the marketing function move from, sort of running activities or being seen as running activities to becoming a true partner, with the sales team. I think the other thing is about relevancy. Relevancy in terms of our messages, the way that we engage with customers. When we get on to discuss, what some of the challenges may be, I think, relevancy, thinking about how we create more relevant engagements for our customers, definitely top of mind as well.
What would you say is the biggest challenge marketers face today?
So I think the biggest challenge that we face is really, again, about sort of relevancy. It's about cutting through noise. Buyers' expectations and also their behaviors have changed. So I think there's a lot more self-direction, a lot more, learning, anonymous research before there is actually engagement with vendors. We've certainly seen that. I see that across my region. And what that means is that, we have to, approach things differently, think more about how we have very, sort of messaging, persona-led messaging, and so that we're basically, creating relevancy. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we have, because, outbound tactics are less successful in creating high-value pipeline. So it's really thinking about, what are those actions that we can take that are going to, support the pipeline creation process. And again, I think that a lot of it is about leveraging data that's available, intent data, getting a lot more savvy about, how to interpret that data, how we then take that forward and turn it into sort of strategies and programs. But yeah, using that, and rather than focus as with B2B marketing a lot in the past on, MQLs, but moving to more of an marketing qualified account model where we're looking more broadly at the way that accounts are interacting and searching for certain topics, and using that as a way to sort of understand really which accounts we should be engaging in, and therefore to get better return on investment and create more impact for our marketing strategies.
Definitely. Karen, now to also ask you a question that's more related to the event aspect of marketing as well. I'd love to hear, how and if you are leveraging events at UiPath, and if yes, I'd love to hear also about, a specific event or engagement piece that you have hosted in the past that may have driven considerable results for the marketing and sales teams. And I'd love to hear what that engagement piece was and why you think it was so successful.
We do a lot of events at UiPath, a lot of face-to-face events. There's a lot of value in having those face-to-face interactions. I think one particular event experience that stands out is something that we're running currently. It's our flagship event experience. It's Fusion. So that starts with a Fusion in the US, and then we take that, across all of the regions. Currently I'm, working on a Paris version. We have a Madrid version, and my counterparts across the different regions are also rolling those out. And I think what's really interesting about the Fusion experience is that we're getting into different types of content. We're moving towards having tech, really sort of like tech content for technical audiences, and then a more business focus, where the real topic is around return on investment. Agentic or automation, AI, all of companies are investing in that, but the real question is about how they actually get a return on investment. So that's one of the major themes that we're engaging customers on. In terms of the event experience itself, I think an event is a moment in a journey. So it's a really key moment, and we build into that various different experiences that vary actually from one region to another, and really I would say aligned to local sort of market needs or cultural differences, and also sales strategies. But so we can have, for example, executive engagement aspects to some of those events. We can also have more developer community type aspects to the events as well, and it's about creating the experiences that are going to help engage those different audiences. So that's really, I would say, an interesting part of that particular event. But again, it's a moment in time, and I think in terms of the engagement, what we really aim to do is engage the audiences beforehand. As an example, we're working on a hackathon for our upcoming Paris event. So the idea would be that we will, obviously engage with our technical communities through a hackathon, and then that becomes part of the event. And then also in the way that we follow up, offering, thinking about and designing the follow-up experience as well. It could be workshops. It really, there are a multitude of possibilities, but we really try to think about the different audience types that we will have there, and specifically for each type, what kind of experience will be the best, sort of follow-up. So yeah, that's the best example I have today.
That sounds great, especially also how you mentioned how you personalize the follow-up experience for each persona as well, based on the role, based on their different expertise. I think that's very important. It's one part of the process that maybe hasn't been as personalized as maybe other parts of the processes of an event as well. So I like that idea as well. My next question for you, Karen, is from a senior executive with your background in the marketing field, your extensive background. What piece of advice would you give to someone starting in the marketing industry?
Right. Well, I think I've a few things I would say. I think it's really, really important to understand your market and your customers. It sounds an obvious one, but I think sometimes, marketing, especially when you starting in perhaps a more junior role, you can get caught up in operational, be it digital or events, and not actually be that close to, what the market's saying, what's happening, going on in the market, what your competitors are doing, but also really, really importantly, customers. I'm a firm believer in, customer engagement, customer advocacy, and actually having a direct connection and contact with customers, be it at events or whatever, format that may be, because it helps us to really understand, their challenges, just to be closer to what customers are actually, sort of looking for, how they're using our solutions, etc. And then also being able to feed that back into like global marketing strategies. So I think that's a really important first one. The second one I would always say as well is, we should always be thinking about how to partner with sales, creating that partnership, understanding as well, sort of pipeline, understanding the metrics, understanding the data around that, so that, marketing can only be successful if sales is successful. So it's really key that we actually understand, what sales strategy is, and basically where they also need help specifically around pipelines. I think that's the third one, and then a second one rather. And then the third point is well, it's a bit of both really. It's like data. like being data savvy, understanding our own metrics, understanding pipeline metrics, understanding industry data. I think those things, marketing, people often think it's a lot about creativity. It's actually really a lot about understanding data to make informed decisions. So I think those three things I would definitely advise any marketer, early career or otherwise, actually, to focus on.
So, Karen, can you let us know what's your main priority on your to-do list for 2026 is?
I think there are many, actually. I don't have one main priority. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of them, but I would say, to sum it up, I would call it like being regional relevancy. Again, getting back to this point of, really thinking about the activities, the audiences that we want to engage with, how we engage with them, like, instead of being, broad-based at, having very industry specific and regional specific messaging and activities that we run. So just having that level of focus, I would say, is what's top of mind at the moment. So on a more personal level with my team, just making sure that everybody thrives in the environment, they're bringing their skills to the table, and that we're continuing to create, I would say, like a high performing modern marketing team based on using data, as I say, partnering with sales. I think those are the really key things to focus on. Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Karen, my last question for you is, how would you describe your role as a senior marketing director in one word, and why?
So the one word that really comes to mind when I think about my role and, marketing generally is engagement. We've touched on that a couple of times. I think engagement, I feel very engaged, working in partnership with our sales teams about, we have an objective, we're aligned on that. So there's an internal engagement also, with across other marketing teams and other teams within the group. But then again, engaging customers. I feel engagement is the it's about creating and really sustaining and deepening the engagement that we have with our clients.